All right, let's talk about something. It's this powerful pattern that so many of us feel in our spiritual lives, but we can't always put a name to it. It's this compelling, kind of unseen cycle that just keeps us spinning.
I mean, you know that feeling, right? You have this great moment, a breakthrough, things are clicking, you feel so close to God. And then, well, slowly but surely, you start to drift. And before you know it, boom, you're right back where you started, kind of scratching your head, wondering, how did I get here? Again. If that sounds at all familiar, trust me, you are not alone.
So, what's going on here? How do we even begin to understand this feeling? Well, it turns out this is not some new modern problem. What we're going to do is explore this recurring loop that isn't just ancient history. It's a deeply, deeply human experience. And this isn't about beating ourselves up. It's about understanding a pattern that's kind of hardwired into the human heart.
Okay, so here's the core idea we're going to unpack. Think of it like a map. It all kicks off with a season of blessing, a time when life is just good. But here's the thing, that comfort can be a total double-edged sword. We get comfortable, we start relying on ourselves, and that gratitude we once had just fades. Then a crisis hits. And what do? We run back to God for help. He delivers us, and for a while, we're so grateful. But then, well, the cycle starts all over again.
Now, what's so wild is that this very modern feeling loop has a clear, ancient blueprint. Believe it or not, we can see this exact same pattern play out again and again and again in the biblical book of Judges.
And I mean, this just lays out the pattern perfectly. It starts with God blessing his people. They've got peace, they've got prosperity. But what happens next? That comfort leads to them completely forgetting God and just doing their own thing. Naturally, that leads to hardship and oppression. Then, when they're desperate, they cry out for help. And what does God do? He graciously sends a deliverer to save them. And for a while, it's great, until the cycle begins again.
And this is the whole point, right? This isn't just some dusty old history lesson about something that happened thousands of years ago. The book of Judges really acts as a mirror. And when we look into it, if we're being honest, we can often see our own reflections, our own patterns staring right back at us.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Why are we, today, with endless resources and all the knowledge in the world at our fingertips, still getting caught on this very same hamster wheel?
Now, here is a powerful insight that might just surprise you. We usually think the spiritual downward slide starts with some big, dramatic sin, but that's not it. The trap doesn't spring with a bang. It actually begins quietly when life gets comfortable and we slowly, almost without noticing, start to think that our own success is the source of our security.
And this forces us to ask a really tough question about ourselves, doesn't it? It challenges us to really look at our own hearts and ask, what do I truly depend on day in and day out? Is it my own strength when things are going great? Do I only really turn to God when things get tough? You know, part of the problem today is a big cultural shift. For many of us, church has become a weekly event. We go, we enjoy the music, we listen to a sermon, and then we go home. What's often missing is that formation-based community, the kind with deep relationships and real accountability, where people are actually sharing their lives together. Just listen to this quote. This is from the very end of the book of Judges. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. I mean, does that not sound like it could have been written yesterday? It perfectly captures an era where we have information everywhere, and everyone has their own version of the truth, but a central grounding authority, a true north, is often missing. So this leads to this huge paradox in our time. We have access to more sermons, podcasts, and books than any generation in human history. We are drowning in information. But all that information can lead to spiritually shallow roots if it's not paired with the real-life discipline and deep relationships that lead to true formation. Okay, but this isn't all doom and gloom. This is not a hopeless situation. So the question is, how do we consciously step off this merry-go-round and start building a more resilient, deeper faith? So the key to this whole thing is a fundamental shift in our thinking. We have to move beyond just chasing the temporary emotional highs of a great worship service or a weekend retreat and get really serious about building consistent, daily, life-giving structures into our lives. So let's get practical. Here are 3 personal shifts that can really help break the cycle. First, move from relying on emotion to building structure, those daily rhythms of connecting with God, because consistency is what builds resilience. Second, move from isolation to accountability.
Invite trusted people into your life who can ask you the hard questions, because we were never meant to do this alone. And third, shift from just chasing blessings to chasing God Himself, making Him, not just His gifts, the ultimate goal. That's where true satisfaction is found.
And look, this is not a solo project. It requires us to intentionally build or find a community culture where people are truly known, flaws and all, not just seen for an hour on a Sunday morning. A place where you can be real, ask the hard questions, and get honest answers back.
Okay, let's bring all this home. I want to leave you with one final, personal thought to chew on. After everything we've looked at, the blessings, the comfort, the crisis, the crying out, let's just be real for a second. Where are you in this cycle right now? Are you enjoying a season of peace, maybe starting to drift a little? Or are you right in the middle of a crisis, crying out for help? Because being honest with yourself about where you are, that's the very first step to finally breaking free.